To be American is to take to the road.
To control your own destiny.
Discovery. Freedom.
Could I see some ID, please?
The notion of driving while black reminds us that that's not available to all Americans.
Driver, put your hands on the steering wheel.
Got any drugs or weapons on you?
No. I didn't do nothing.
You think you tough? Think you tough, huh? You're scared now, huh? I like that. That's why I took this job. I hate little motherfuckers like you. Little niggas, you ain't shit. Think you're tough, huh? Could blow your head off with this Smith & Wesson and you couldn't do shit. How you feel now? What set you from? Look like one of them Crenshaw Mafia motherfuckers. No, you probably one of them rolling 60s, huh? Huh?
12 Adam 63, we have a possible 187 in Blue VW at corner of Florence and Vermont. Again, a possible 187 in Blue VW at corner of Florence and Vermont.
Stay out of trouble. You gentlemen have a nice evening, man.
We're taking a closer look at racial disparities in America. Tonight, we're focusing on the criminal justice system. From driving while black to the war on drugs, sentencing to parole, studies show racial bias is a factor in nearly every area of the criminal justice system, including who's being accused, arrested, and convicted of crimes. Let's start with the disproportionate risks of driving while black. In 2017, researchers at Stanford University studied 4.5 million traffic stops by the 100 largest police departments in North Carolina. They found blacks were more likely to be searched than whites. That's even though white motorists were more likely than the others to turn up contraband. Let's move to the war on drugs. A 2020 report by the ACLU found that even in the era of marijuana reform, black people are more than 3.5 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana offenses than whites. Turning to the bail system, a 2011 study of bail in 5 large U.S. counties found that blacks received a $7,000 higher bail than whites for violent crime, $10,000 higher for crimes related to public order, and $13,000 higher for drug crimes. Let's move to prosecutors and plea bargaining. A 2014 study of Manhattan criminal cases found that black defendants were 19% more likely than whites to be offered plea deals that included jail or prison time. How about sentencing disparities? A survey of data from the U.S. Sentencing Commission in 2017 found that when black men and white men commit the same crime, black men on average receive a sentence almost 20% longer. And finally, blacks are overrepresented in the parole and probation population. According to a 2018 study by Pew, 1 in 23 black adults in the U.S. is on parole or probation versus 1 in 81 white adults.
I'm both angry and sad. It's just like you look at the system, and there are these harsh realities that people of color have to face, harsh realities that black people face.
Edward Ward says when he sees police in the rearview mirror, he prays he won't be stopped again. But just yesterday, as this video shows, he was stopped yet again, the 7th time in a year.
Being stopped again.
Officers stopped nearly 600,000 drivers in 2019. That's more than 1,600 traffic stops each day citywide. Our analysis of police data shows black drivers are stopped in Chicago at a far greater rate, meaning a simple trip to work or the store can often lead to police contact, with black drivers telling the I-Team they often feel targeted behind the wheel.
I've been pulled over by the police quite a few times.
In July, when the I-Team talked with Edward Ward, he said that in the only year he has ever even owned a car, he'd been pulled over by Chicago police 6 times.
I'm actually being stopped again by the police.
He even captured this video during a July police stop on the West Side.
You're just preparing for police to pull you over. I mean, there is not a moment that goes by when police are riding behind me where I don't fear being pulled over.
In 2019, Chicago police stopped more than 368,000 black drivers, more than 6 in 10 of all traffic stops citywide. But when you factor in the greater number of white drivers on the road than black drivers, the racial disparity is even worse. In Chicago, black drivers are stopped at a rate almost 5.6 times higher than white drivers.
Black drivers were stopped so much more often than white drivers, and it really raises concern. There is something happening in Chicago that needs to be addressed.
And the numbers are climbing fast. Traffic stops are significantly increasing in Chicago. In 2014, Chicago police only pulled over 87,000 people. Last year alone, they pulled over 500,000 more drivers than 5 years ago.
All the increase in the surge has been among innocent people.
As the number of police stops increase and police continue to stop black drivers at a far greater rate, our data analysis shows they're actually citing black drivers less often than white drivers. That means while black drivers are more likely to be pulled over, they're less likely to be cited for wrongdoing.
These are the kinds of things that are piling up. And people know that they're being disrespected. People know that their time isn't worth anything. People know that the police completely suspect them of everything, even if they're doing nothing. So the weight of this kind of policing is just enormous on poor and black neighborhoods in Chicago.
It is really concerning to think what kinds of strategies CPD is using that's resulting in these kinds of disparities. And especially not seeing a lot of actual traffic citations really suggests that these stops are being used for some pretextual reasons. It's resulting in harassment of communities of color without any kind of seemingly legitimate police justification.
CPD tells the I-Team officers are trained to stop vehicles after a traffic violation or potential crime has occurred. While more resources are deployed to areas that have more violent crime, we do not target individuals based on race or community. We teamed up with other ABC-owned station investigative teams to track this problem nationwide, finding on average since 2014 in Los Angeles, Philadelphia, and Houston, the disparity between black and white police stops is smaller than in Chicago.
You got a vest, I'm like, that's gonna be issues, bro. And I just told him I worked. I told him, you know, I told him everything, because I was proving him all. He's like, damn, he ain't lying. I'm headed into work now, man. Still going, you know? He was looking for something. I don't know what the fuck he was looking for. Mm-hmm. I know that's right. You can reach, I ain't reaching, brother. There's rain pulling in. He said, was that you just pulled over?
Another one occurred in my career as a Dallas Cowboy, the night with James Washington. My rookie year here in Dallas, and obviously I just got drafted probably 2 weeks prior to our first camp, or 10 days prior to our first camp. And James Washington, who actually had a vehicle at the time, a white Mercedes. He and I decided, a bunch of us decided to go to a nightclub, and James and I did not know the way, but he only knew one way that somebody told him. And so we ride down the street called Harry Hines, and Harry Hines is a street where some night walkers hang out at. And I didn't know this. I didn't know the severity of it until we got pulled over by some Dallas cops. And they got out. Some of them had the guns drawn. They come and approaching the car and they shine the lights and people don't, and the cops probably, they know what they're doing because they shine the light to the point where it's in your face where you can't see nothing anyway. Yeah. So if you disoriented and moving around, I can see how they can put a cap in somebody easy. Yeah. But at the end of the day, we put our hands up out the window and so forth, and you know, they asking for driver's license and everything else, treating us like criminals, like we about to do something wrong, all because we're in a Mercedes-Benz. So we're driving while black, be honest with you. And these are black cops. So it's not like these are white cops, these are black cops. So at the end of the day, they tell us, guys, do y'all know what street y'all on? I'm like, man, I'm new to this city. How would I know this? Right. And so he started to explain to us what street we are on, and I'm like, okay, cool. James driving. We got out, got where they let us go. And right then and there, I said I learned my second valuable lesson.